Okay, so if you haven't done so yet, take a second to get your episode film loaded and pause at the 0-second mark. And without further ado, if you've been here before, you know what we're going to do next. If you're new, grab your remote and have your thumb and play button, but don't press it because we're going to do that at the same time. So are we all ready?
Yes.
Ready.
Okay, so without further ado, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, start. Oh, I love Cosma. She's so beautifully weird.
I saw the actress in a show last week, and she is incredible, Katrina Lang.
Oh, Rose.
So so my prediction is still that Benjamin is going to be out of the picture by the end of this episode.
So what do you guys think about a blonde Midge? I don't like it. Ew.
So weird.
Yeah, she was blonde when she was in college too, so we kind of got a little bit of glimpse of it then, but I still don't like it.
It's totally just not her.
No. It's still drawing though to see it every time you see it.
Wait, isn't this like a flashback?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I thought. Okay. It's the only way to tell. Her hair. That's a valid point.
I love this dancing scene.
Kind of makes you like Joel a little bit, Mandy, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was a very cute scene.
But man, he didn't ask her father. What was he thinking?
I think he did. He was just joking about it.
I just love that scene.
It definitely feels like we're on the Joel redemption tour.
Forget Joel. When you've got Benjamin, Joel's nothing.
I have seen the hats.
$25 character references. 25.
Abe is so cruel.
Doesn't she still need to get a divorce?
She does.
And to get.
That was my first swear word taught to me by my older brother. I love that line. Miriam, do you get paid by the papa?
So my more elaborate prediction is that a big opportunity is going to derail all of this.
I'm loving that outfit she's wearing.
Oh, yes. I love her outfit here.
She looks so put together and so casual all at the same time.
Yep.
Hi, Diane. Do you need a timestamp? Hi, Gina. Let us know if you need a timestamp.
Does she have absolutely no recollection of telling that story?
Apparently not. And you would think the way Abe speaks of her, he would want to get her out of his hair. So just tell the man yes. Oh no.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, Joel's cranky.
Yeah, he found out that she had a boyfriend.
Well, she has a friend. I don't like Joel right here because when he was cheating on Miriam, he was cheating on his children as well. So don't get all territorial with the kid.
Exactly.
Also, his kids met Penny Pan. Just when you started to like Joel, he does something to bring it back to a little bit of hate.
Who's going to be cleaning up all those baseballs?
How many takes it took, because that'd be kind of hard to, unless they're super good, to be able to hit that ball each time.
I think I heard that they did CGI for all of the balls, that they weren't actually hit, they were just swinging bats and not actually hitting balls. I don't remember if that's true or not, but I think that's what I heard.
That sounds like, I think that would be hard to do, to be like tossing that up and actually talking and paying attention to what you're trying to do.
Well, and I have to imagine the sound of it too would be an issue. Like, I'm sure obviously all of that got added in post, but I'm sure it would mess up some of the audio and recording too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Joel's gonna open a club.
I mean, that definitely feels like it can align well with Midge and Midge's journey.
Oh, I love this part.
Yeah,
Did they just leave all the balls there in the middle of the field? Is nobody else disturbed by that?
I mean, yeah, they probably left them.
No, they just said they had to go pick them all up.
This reminds me of Get Smart.
Did they?
Oh, yeah, they did say they were going to go pick them up.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, that's where they were going. They were going towards the ball.
This whole scene reminds me of Get Smart.
I love Get Smart, Nancy. Not that remake show with Steve Carell or whatever, but the original.
Agent 86 and Agent 99.
They had all the little doors that opened and closed that they had to go through.
Yes, exactly.
That buzzer is annoying. That buzzer makes me twitch.
Oh, yeah, everybody in New York has access to a bunker or a bomb shelter? Sure.
I really hate that comment. She's a comedian and a girl.
Exactly. We were talking about that earlier.
Yes.
How can she be a security risk? She's just a girl. And a comedian.
Better really show them.
Oh, I love that speech.
I do love that he stood up for his daughter. Oh, this part. I have to know if this thing existed.
I think so. I looked this up. This was, I don't know. I was asking my sister about this because she's I don't want to give anything away. It's too soon.
That dress is fabulous.
A freaking baby drawer. Genius.
What? That's crazy.
I would love to that existed. Didn't exist 30 years. I don't know why they think she's going to marry Ethan.
I think it was a conceptual thing. I don't know that they actually did that, but there was something that was conceptualized like in 1953. I just by quick reading.
And I don't understand why they're trying to marry her off to Ethan. I mean, because first of all, Ethan's Jewish and Imogene and Archie are not. So that would not go over very well.
That baby door pretty hard.
But it would not go over very well for a mixed marriage, at least at that speed.
But her brother is married to.
Yes, she converted. She converted, yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna say also, Midge doesn't do anything conventional.
I also think it's like way creepier that you're marrying off your infant children, assuming that they're, even heterosexual.
Have we ever seen Susie in such a bright color as white?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Her jacket's kind of shocking.
I can't remember what she wore at the Concord because I know she dressed up a little bit.
Kim says she's worn that before.
I think it's the only other jacket she has. It's her nice jacket.
My son still has a forceps bent ear.
Yes, she wore that during the telethon too.
Yeah, I want the answer to this question.
Why did he cut her off? I was enjoying them.
Because she said the word pregnant. That's not allowed.
Something that I would like to talk about afterwards is just how the characters react to some of this and how believable it is within the context of that time. Just how they seem kind of confused, like, wait, what? Which feels like it's more of a comment to us, a modern society, that would find that just absolutely crazy. Whereas I wonder how much they would have really found it to be like, wait, what are you telling me? Does that make?
Yes. Yeah, I get it.
Like, I feel like Midge would have understood why. Like, whether she liked it or not is a different thing, but their reaction is very much like, wait, are you kidding me? You know, which is, I think, much more of a modern reaction than
it
a
was
reaction
definitely my reaction.
Yeah, but I think that that's okay. I think that, you know, obviously this is a show for modern audiences, so it's designed to get us feeling something. But I just think that there's something about that that's just interesting. That
Oh, I love Lenny. I've been a huge fan of Lenny Bruce since I was in high school. So scenes with him, I love them.
Welcome, Carol. Let us know if you need a timestamp.
I love their relationship. Oh, yeah. It's about to get good, y'all.
I love how she rings the bell and not.
Is she about
Oh
to
my
ask
God.
Susie to be her manager?
Yes. Oh, I did not see this coming.
She's so
I
tall.
had forgot about this storyline. Does she just give everybody a fur coat when they leave?
Apparently so. If you visit Sophie, the door prize is a fur freaking coat.
I love that.
But there's another, like, if Sophie, if that was really worn by Sophie, it would be dragging on the floor if it's on Susie, because Susie's so much shorter.
Yeah, I think Susie is a full foot shorter than Sophie.
Yes, correct. So that coat should be literally dragging on the floor, but it's not.
She looks so Christmassy with the red couch and red.
I love those couches. I would kill for a couch like that. Oh, Shy.
Yay. This might be the opportunity John was predicting.
That was a quick yes. She
I would
answered
have
without-
answered that quickly too.
Yeah, she answered though without even thinking about what she's going to do with her kids.
That was a quicker yes than even to when Joel asked to marry.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
and kind of a quicker yes to all of this Benjamin stuff too. I feel right.
Yes. I
Yeah.
think so.
I wonder if Benjamin's gonna survive this.
Is this Christmas time? She is very Christmassy. She's wearing this white coat.
Probably like November.
Yeah, the announcer on stage at the club earlier where the comedian before her said, I'll be at so-and-so club in December.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
I like how she was imagining what hat she was going to wear for her travels. Oh, Susie's such a weenie.
I love how she has a whole room just for her clothes.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's her brother's room due to the baseball. Well,
Yeah. It just amazes me how many clothes she already has, and she just bought like a whole ton more for this.
%86.
that's pretty good. Uh-oh, didn't think about that. This set we're seeing here is a word for word recreation of what Lenny actually said on the show. His set on the show was longer, of course.
I'm gonna post the original set in the Mrs. Maisel thread because we found it. And you break up, then you go. I posted is Lenny Bruce's original set that appeared on April 5th, 1959, which is, I believe, later
Oh, Susie got a new jacket.
I know, it's so precious.
Ooh.
And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. God, I loved that cut there at the very end too. That was awesome. Ooh.
Who doesn't like the song?
Yeah, that song's awesome.
That ending with Lenny and then her, it's so powerful and so sad.
Yeah.
But I love it.
It's a tiny little bit like Partings when Lorelai shows up at Christopher's door and says, "I don't want to be alone tonight," or something like that. End of season 6. Right?
Yes.
I didn't notice, but was this written by Dan? Stella, do you know?
Don't
Amy.
so.
Amy, I just looked it up.
Oh, Amy. Okay.
Yeah.
because that list that Abe gave to her as we saw her from the back, realizing as she was prepping for this tour and being and not thinking about anything else, that she was, supposed to be engaged. That list that he gave I checked his records and, all this stuff, and that whole litany of things that he mentioned. And finally she turns around and he realizes, that it's not going to happen.
That scene with her was very important to me because from the moment she was on the phone with Shy, I don't think until her father brought Benjamin up that he even entered her mind. Like, it didn't even occur to her to call him, to tell him. She immediately went to Susie. I don't even think he was in any way, shape, or form important to the decision she made. He was just an afterthought. Oops, I forgot about him.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of saw it coming. You could already feel that Benjamin he's not really right for Midge. I mean, everything about him is safe, and she is not somebody who lives by this sort of code of safety. As soon as he was, sitting down there and getting her father's approval and whatnot, I was like, oh, this is not going to work. This is not going to work at all.
Does that disappoint you?
Well,
you did call it.
I think it doesn't disappoint me. I mean, there's something very melancholy about what she says there at the end, but I sort of I understand where she's coming from, and I think that probably, I don't know if I'd say she's right. I still really do think that there's a version of her journey that finds her way back to Joel, but in a very different way than where they were at the very beginning of it. I think there's something very interesting about the idea that she doesn't lose Mrs. Maisel throughout her entire journey. And so she might not be all alone in the end, but certainly she's not cut out for that, for this Prince Charming, Mr. Right type guy. It's just not, that does not align with what she wants from her life.
Yeah, and she can't go back. Like she said, I can't go back to Jell-O molds. There will be no 3 before 30 for me. There's no going back for her from this moment forward. Not back to the same life she once had. I find the ending of this episode very sad, but at the same time, I'm excited for her.
I really like that idea you're talking about, John, that Joel and Midge find a way to still be very important to one another somehow. And she still gets to be Mrs. Maisel and do her whole kind of thing, but not lose that relationship. Because I think it's so fun to see the two of them together, because it's not the one person, but one of the people that she's incredibly comfortable in herself with, which I think is really beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that could derail it, really, I think the only thing that could derail it would be if he finally just says, I want to have somebody in my life that's just me and that person, and we are each other's everything. And she's like, well, I can't be that. And so, as heartbreaking as it is for me to lose you, you need to go off and find that. And then he does. And I don't know, I mean, for the purposes of this story, that does kind of feel like it would be written to sort of really make this about this, how she puts her career before everything, including finding love and happiness, and somebody that she would grow old with together. But if he sort of remains wanting Midge for the rest of his life, and she being really the one person that he loves above all, then it's just a matter of compromise. It's just a matter of it's not like it's not like if neither of them have anybody in their life that they wouldn't do what they're doing here at the end of the episode every once in a while, right? And they already seem to know how to be friends and root for each other outside of romance. So they already seem to have a lot of the aspects of a relationship if they can continue to sort of compromise what each wants from their own lives a bit, then maybe they could find a completely different type of marriage and relationship than what they had before. But I think that the biggest threat to that, to that sort of end goal would be if Joel is like, I just want to settle down with somebody and be with somebody, and that be, them just be the two of us are together and we're each other's everything, and that's that. And I just don't think she can do that.
I think what's important is that the playing field has almost been leveled. Like he has now decided that he has a dream and he's defined what it is. He wants to open a club that's really specific. We've seen Joel for 2 seasons be really not sure what he wants, and that doesn't work for Midge either. But now they both are in almost the exact same spot where they both want something that's kind of lofty, that's kind of ambitious, and she can't, she doesn't have that with Benjamin because he's so established. He's almost bored with his own accomplishments, that he's a doctor or whatever. It's fine, but Joel now wants something in a way that's really specific and really attainable, that didn't exist before. So now they're both kind of in the same place, which is sort of nice. You can kind of see that working for them.
Yeah, I just I'm not completely convinced that Joel has it in him though. Like I don't know if Joel has what she has. She has the ability to really go the distance, and I'm not convinced that he has that innately, naturally in him. I certainly, he's inspired and he's excited about this new opportunity, but I also could see this whole club thing petering out for him when it gets really tough.
I think it's also worth noting that deciding to be a comedian and deciding to open a club are also on 2 different levels. You don't have to reach as high to open a club. It doesn't take as many special qualities. Not that I'm saying starting your own business isn't hard, but I don't know that he needs to have exactly what it is that Midge has, because I think what she's trying to do takes a lot more than what he's going to be trying to do. I don't know.
Oh, I agree with that. I totally agree that they're 2 different things. I think my point is more that he didn't have anything that he wanted before. He thought he wanted to be a comedian, but he didn't even know what that entailed. He was sort of yeah, I want to be I want to do this thing, but he didn't even want to do the work. He didn't want to even write his own act. So, now we see Joel actually having a very specific goal that's it's not super easy. It's definitely not as hard as what she's doing, but it's super specific. And I think that's the difference.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I think that's something that Midge will be attracted to, or that she will enjoy. She won't like to see the spark in him. She will want to know how things are going. I don't know, like I agree there's like that common ground, and that's something that I think she's interested in. I really like the way that you juxtaposed it with Benjamin and being so established, because I hadn't really thought about it in that way, like in this point of the storyline, the difference between Joel and Benjamin there. But I think you made a really good point.
I thought it was a fantastic season finale. Didn't have, I mean, it certainly had like all of the, definitely our, the last episode was the real height from like the climax of the season. This episode had a very like, a lot of what we got from last episode sort of playing itself out,
wrapping it up, and
yeah, I mean, we knew
for next season.
We knew that Shai Baldwin was coming back. We knew that this was going to be big. I mean, how could you not feel that something was going to derail all of this like exciting stuff about a second marriage for the family? It's like, this episode for me was sort of like an inevitable, like we're kind of tumbling towards inevitability. And while you kind of feel like it, like this, a lot of these things were going to be happening for her, like you just could feel like she was going to be getting this opportunity. The episode was really like a much more melancholy sort of look at what all of that is really going to mean to Midge. And I just thought that was really nice. It was, for me, it was just a great, it's just the kind of finales that I really like, more so than like a Big Bang finale. Just something that like that is really reflective. And of course there was some really unexpected stuff. I mean, the stuff with Sophie was completely unexpected, but I loved it. I called that I thought something bad was going to happen to Abe. I wasn't really sure exactly what it was, but it's sort of I guess kind of a few things, right? It's like the stuff at Bell Labs. It's like now like leaving Columbia, and like now he's in this really weird like limbo place going into this next season as well. Like, what's going to happen? They're going to lose their apartment?
Well, I think also that I mean, it happened to him, but he totally, pivoted to put it to his advantage and to do things that he has always wanted to do. I thought it was interesting that her lawyer, the firebrand lawyer from season 1, is the son of his friend, his former protesting comrade in arms. That was a little bit of a fun reunion with him. Although I have to say that in the first meeting with her, if he found out her last name, I think it would have been natural for him to say, "Are you any relation to Abe Maisel, my father's former friend?" But anyway, I thought that was, but I think that Abe is totally, like, once again, regaining control. I thought it was interesting also that, like, that Rose had to remind him that Columbia owned their apartment. And so, some of these decisions that he was making were a little rash and a little not premeditated and not as pondered over and mulled over and pre-planned, that he kind of had to kind of roll with it, and that even the apartment, it wasn't like he said, "Okay, well then never mind." He's like, "I'm moving forward and we'll figure out." I don't know, what did he say? He said something very, very deliberate, like, "Yes, we will have to find another place," or something like that. But I just thought it was an interesting sort of brief lack of control and then completely turning it back into his control.
When the lawyer met her earlier, there would have been no recognition because Abe's last name is Weissman. So he wouldn't.
You're right.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, then that's even more of an awesome twist. Of course. That's right. Thank you.
But man, think about this. If she builds her career on Mrs. Maisel, she can't go back to her maiden name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So she's married herself to Joel in one way or another for the rest of eternity.
Well, certainly
I kept my maiden name because I have a child with my ex-husband's name, and I think that's perfectly
yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with.
No.
So yeah, if she got married again, I think that she could hyphen it or whatever.
Yeah, my mom kept her name. I mean, she and my dad divorced when I was 4 or 3, and she's had his name since for the same reason.
Yeah, I hyphenated my name, which was the worst decision in the whole world since my last name is now 2 miles long, but I wasn't willing to give up my maiden name because I was adopted and it meant so much to me to keep it. And my children have it as well on their birth certificate, so they can carry it on as well.
Babsy didn't. She moved her maiden name into her middle name because Babsy didn't have a middle name. She didn't have one like an actual given middle name, so she made that her middle name.
Oh, my mother did that too.
An interesting solution, which allows her to keep it, and also it doesn't have the hyphen, which would be different than Josie and me, and it's cool. And actually, Josie has Babsy's middle name as well. Has Schaefer is Josie's middle name.
I have a little brother that doesn't have the middle name, and everybody finds it so utterly bizarre, but he just was not given a middle name.
It's interesting, John, that you say that because my mom did the same thing. She kept her maiden name as her middle name, and I have her maiden name as my middle name and my dad's last name. It's kind of interesting how people do that. And yeah. I could see Midge keeping Maisel, though, regardless, just for her kids, but also even if she were to change her non-professional name, like she could use it as a professional name and still have a different last name.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I oftentimes wonder if Sophie is really Sophie Lennon, or is that a stage name? Like, I need a little more background on Sophie.
Is a stage name, though.
Yeah. I want to know more about Sophie.
She went to Yale.
Yes. There was a lot of unhappiness in this episode. Sophie's unhappy, Joel's unhappy,
even Midge is unhappy.
Yes. I mean, it was just full of unhappiness. Like, Archie is unhappy because now he has 3 children and he's freaked out about it.
Imogene was happy.
Yes, she was the only happy person.
She was
because she had her baby in a drawer.
But she was unhappy with her child's name. She wasn't completely happy. She had some things she was unhappy about as well. She was complaining about her husband naming the kid what she named her and stuff. But
yes. Mm-hmm. But she was super happy to have that baby in that baby drawer. I wish I would have had a baby drawer.
Even though she did shut that baby drawer awfully harshly, I feel like.
It was squishy and
it didn't have those runners that were well oiled. it was but think about for the baby, I know that babies, you know, sometimes their eyes don't even open when they're that teeny tiny, but it's just like sort of that feeling of just being pulled out and then pushed back in, and what that must mean for what that must be for the baby. Like, I don't know.
Well, it looked like when the baby was pushed in that it was just like in a regular little, like one of those bassinet style things in a room with a nurse.
It went like directly to the nursery. Yeah, that was a real like conceptual thing. I posted the little link about it was Kaiser Permanente.
Yeah, thank you.
Came up with that, but I don't think it actually. It might have been in one of their hospitals or something, but it never actually caught on.
Why? That was genius.
Doesn't. Yeah, because I mean, but now like they you just keep your baby in your room like the whole time unless they take it to take stats on it or whatever, and then they bring it back.
Yeah.
Bring it back to you.
I know.
You know what I found interesting about the baby drawer though is that in the sort of like group that Midge and Imogene grows up in, it's almost fitting, right? So you just pull your kids out long enough to show them off to people, and then you just tuck them back away when you're done showing them to people. And it seems very much like they don't really pay very close attention to their kids. They just pull them out, show them off, and then tuck them back.
Maybe that was the whole point of using the drawer, though. That totally would make sense as like a metaphor for how they are with their children.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't even consider her children and things that she does until after somebody mentions them, with the exception of like one or two times.
I wonder if Amy heard about that drawer and did not want to waste an opportunity not to put that in, because it's just it's a classic.
Oh, it sounds like it. I mean, it does feel like it.
It's like okay, we got to find a way to include that, because it's so, I mean, almost leaning into the whole like our shows feature children that are props that are not fully realized as children, but that are pulled out. Look at what they did with Gigi in Gilmore Girls. She was a baby, and then she was a spoiled preschooler, and I mean that same kind of thing. Like, and Ethan at least is talking and sort of has a the thing about the phone when Midge was on tour. Like he likes to hear it ring, but he doesn't like to talk. Like, I don't know. Like I guess they give kids a personality quirks when it's convenient, but when they're but most of the time, I mean, going on tour means not only saying goodbye to Benjamin, but also goodbye to her children for 6 months.
Yeah.
And there did not seem to be any thinking about that, or beyond. Like somebody just like you just brought up about
Benjamin.
Yeah, Benjamin. Like the whole engagement and everything. And it's interesting also, that speaking of Benjamin, that when she was lying in bed and knew that Benjamin was talking with her father, her memory went back to Joel's proposal and how vastly, vastly different it was. And I think that's sort of and then the episode ends with her and Joel. And like what you're saying about how they find their way back to each other.
Yeah, it's almost like Joel is her Christopher. Like, I feel like she's always just going to, like, he's always going to be there. But yeah, the bit with Ethan and the phone, I found really funny because it's really, like, accurate. Because I've known kids like that. They want the phone to ring for them, but then they're like, hey, and then they just, like, off.
What I want to know, because it's mentioned so often, is the whole 3 before 30, was that really a thing during this time period?
It's a thing for some people still.
Yeah,
Really?
It sounded a little to me, though, that it was almost like an agreement that Imogene and Midge had with each other. Like, because it sounded like they both had the same goal, but it almost seemed like a best friend thing because Imogene wanted Midge to be pregnant when she was, because they've been pregnant together all the other time.
I mean, I had 2 back-to-back before 30, and that was a freaking nut. Those girls are crazy.
Except I think, well, I had 2 within 3 years, but that was also not back to back necessarily, but it could, I mean, it almost was, but I also had them later. So by the time I'm 29 having my first one, you know, to try to get 3 before it's not going to work. You know, I don't know. And they're all younger when they started having kids. So yes, they're having kids starting at 22. So yes, it's entirely possible to have that 3 before 30 thing and still have them spaced out within 2 to 3 years.
I think I have such an aversion to like people with many children because I have many, many, many siblings. It was just sheer chaos and utter insanity. So I was like, I have my 2, I'm done. I can't handle any more than 2.
That's what I said too, because I said I have 2 hands, we have 2 parents, and I'm
but I wonder if, well, so Midge put that in her act immediately. Like I almost did something like I almost didn't make it here. I was visiting my best friend in the hospital. She just had her 3rd baby. And it's almost like it's entering Midge's psyche, and the way that she's processing it is by putting it into her act. And so maybe that it's, you know, maybe there's a part of her that does regret that, you know, regret that. I'm not regret, but because she really is so firmly committed to this path that she's on. But she does know that she's closing the door on that, and she's saying goodbye to that possibility. And that's why she says that to Joel. You know, I'm alone, and I will be alone. Like, not just I'm lonely, but I will be alone. And that's the way it's going to be. And it didn't seem to be, it wasn't complaining. It was just stating a fact and sort of almost an affirmation. And so when she says there will be no, or I can't go back to Jello molds, I can't go back to having 3 before 30. It's sort of, it's codifying it in her mind and in her actions. And I wonder if like going to Joel was sort of the person who knows her the best, and you know, despite everything, going back and, you know, saying, I am alone, but I know that I have you, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, when she gave him that little speech, to me, it was like, it had hit her like a bus when she was watching Lenny, and when her father brought Benjamin up and she realized, I didn't even think about him at all. But it was making a commitment. Like, this is my decision. I'm committing to it. I'm accepting it. But right in that moment, that night, she just wanted to go back for a minute. And she said, and I want to be with somebody who loves me. So she's fully aware of the fact that he still loves her.
But so does Benjamin. She could have picked him. And she didn't pick him. She didn't go to him to, 1, tell him that she was going to go on tour, 2, to have a last night with him, with a man who loves her, who wants to marry her. She went back to Joel.
Yeah, and I think she didn't go to Benjamin because I do believe she realizes if she does marry Benjamin, this life she's building right now will end. Like, her career that she's working for, she would slowly fall into, I'm a doctor's wife, and, you know, have another child and do the dinner parties and the play dates and all of that stuff.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. And that's why she realizes she's going to be alone as long as she wants to pursue the career.
she also, I think, she knows that in that time period, that's what is expected of a wife. So I don't think it would matter who she married, whether it was Benjamin or some Joe Schmo off the street. I think she would feel like she has to perform those duties because that's what's expected of a wife.
Yeah, and that gives us a little peek into why Sophie is all alone. Like,
Maybe
she picked her career.
Right.
Yeah, maybe.
Totally. I was actually just thinking about that, about just really where all alone, like where it ends, you know, or
Yeah.
you know, like for somebody who has chosen their career over yeah a relationship, you know.
and it's very clear that Sophie's lonely.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Sophie is desperately lonely.
So it was interesting how, you know, I mean, of course she's still absolutely ridiculous, the character, but it was an interesting flip where suddenly the audience is being asked to sort of pity her, when up until now she's just been gross, you know. And in this episode, there's this moment of like, oh man, I feel really bad for this lady.
Well, also that she has been given every single thing she's ever wanted. You know, she's worked hard for it, but she has everything. You know, she has, you know, wealth, you know, and
she has wealth. I don't know if
I'm gonna say she probably had some wealth before she became famous, though. I mean, she went to Yale Drama School, and she never had been to Queens. To me, she seems like she might have had some wealth.
Yeah, maybe so. But I mean, there's no question that she's definitely wanting something that she's wanted for a long time and never got.
Well, that's what I mean. Is like she sees that fire in Susie, and she wants that. She wants to go after that, and she recognizes that that sort of raw intensity, she's almost insulated from that and that's where I was going with that, you know, that she's, a lot of things are done for her, handed to her, and she's carefully curated. And here comes Susie with her just, you know, give it, you know, everything out kind of demeanor. And that's something that maybe she feels like that kind of passion is missing from her life, or that kind of intensity of feeling and drive is missing. She says, you know, I have to put that fat suit on every night. It's clearly not what she wants anymore.
I saw it differently than that, though, Carrie, because like I saw it as what she sees in Susie is what she wants from the manager. She feels like her manager has pigeonholed her into this character and is not letting her do anything else. And the fact that Susie was willing to fight for her client on that level with that passion and was willing to risk her own career by telling off somebody like Sophie, she wants that from her manager. So it's not that she's looking for passion so much, but she wants somebody to fight for her the way that Susie's fighting for Midge. And that's what she's looking for. She feels like the manager she has like brought her out, made her big, and now won't let her do anything else.
Okay.
Well,
I mean, that's how I saw it. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just saying that was my interpretation of what she was doing there with Susie.
Well, in the scene, she says, I thought that fame and wealth and all of this would be able to afford me that in the future. So she actually, it seems like she actually made an actual conscious decision at some point to go down this road that she thought would lead to, you know, fame and money, and that fame and money would allow her to buy her way into Medea and buy her way into Shakespeare. And now she's realizing that money doesn't buy you those things, right? Like she's realizing like, I can't get those things with my money. I can buy mobsters to like, you know, maybe rough somebody up or whatnot, but I can't actually get this money to do what I've really wanted the entire time. And so I think it's less about like, I don't think that she's like, I want somebody with fire. I think that she had a revelation when she saw the effectiveness of somebody like Susie there, and she saw what Susie's doing for Midge, and I think that this has got her thinking, okay, maybe that's the way in. Maybe I need to get rid of my manager who isn't like helping me get work where I need to go. My money clearly isn't doing it. Maybe this person can do it.
I also think that she probably needs to shell out a little bit more money for her mobsters in the future because they weren't very good at their jobs.
Yeah, they weren't very good.
No, they were terrible.
Super entertaining, but not good.
In general,
they just preferred Susie to whoever hired them because Susie was from the neighborhood.
Right. I mean, I think that that the Sophie character is she's just not good at what she does. You know, ultimately, you know, I think that the fact that she has actually put herself into this weird corner that she's in just says a lot about her actual abilities and skill. I don't think that anything Susie can do for her will ever get her out of this, will ever get her playing, you know, being taken in any way seriously. I could see in the next season something going on with Susie, you know, trying to get her some sort of serious gig, and it just absolutely backfiring.
Right, but Sophie thinks that's her manager's fault. That's where I was.
Yeah.
Like, Sophie puts this all on her manager, not her own talent or her own fame. She just thinks that it's because her manager is not. So she was like, I'm still in the fat suit. You know, he had me do this. He liked Sophie from Queens, and I'm still doing this now, and I want to be doing all these other things. So she kind of thinks it's his fault.
But do you think that she actually thinks that it's his fault, or she just thinks he can't actually do it? Because
either way, it's still his fault in her mind, because it's not her in her mind. Whether it's that he can't do it or that she can't do it, she's just putting it back on him. So she thinks if she changes managers and she gets somebody with like the passion for her clients like Susie has, that it's going to change her life. Whether or not that would really work is another thing. But
yeah,
I agree with you. I don't think she could probably succeed that way. She just seems kind of not like that. But
it just strikes me very much like this whole idea of getting a new manager. It doesn't seem like it's something that she's been toiling with much until recently.
No,
right?
It's like she just thought of it after Susie.
Exactly. Like, and she's that kind of person. She's the type of person who's kind of like, aha, I know. Oh, why didn't I see it the whole time? That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what we need to actually get rid of Drake. And that's it. And we got to get her in. Oh, I know it. It's gonna be great. Fantastic. Right? Like that's totally Sophie.
Right, and that's where I was trying to go at with how I was interpreting the scene. That I feel like Sophie thinks it's all her manager's fault. That everything that's not going right for her is because of him. It has nothing to do with her in her mind. Yep. And she thinks that Susie can do this for her. Susie can do it for this no-name nobody. She could do it for somebody with a name, right? That's what Sophie thinks. That's what I think Sophie thinks. That's how I'm interpreting what happened between those characters.
Well, what's exciting is that it definitely means Jane Lynch is back next season. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. And Benjamin is not.
You don't think we'll get to see any more of Benjamin in any way?
We'll probably see maybe one episode or something like that, or a couple episodes at the most, where it's like, I can't believe you're doing this to me, or did you like I don't even know if she'll even say goodbye to him before she leaves. You know, like that. At this point, I could see her going, and like I could seriously see us not actually seeing Benjamin, like a full-on Max Medina. You know,
She's going
like,
on a road trip.
yeah, full on Max Medina. Like, what happened to that guy? Like, you know, and then like, you know, a season later, we hear like, you know, you left me at the, you know, left me on, you know, like waiting, you know, on the at the, what is it, at the aisle, on the aisle,
At the altar.
at the altar, sorry, at the altar. You know, like I could just see like in season 5, like coming back, and then there's this awkward meeting between the two of them, and you know, and
He's a jilted groom.
and he's like, yeah, and he's like, Midge, I mean, you know, you just disappeared. I mean, you just
they'll see each other in the cold medicine aisle in the drugstore.
Yeah. So if he comes back next season, it'll be under a something kind of similar to that. There's definitely not, I don't see any like significant scenes between these two. I see an awkward conversation. Like that's about as much as I see it, you know, going forward.
And while
Poor Benjamin.
I don't think Benjamin is right for Midge, it makes me incredibly sad that Zachary Levi, because I love him so much.
Yeah, he's great, and the character's really great, and a lot of fun, and you know, just he's a cool character. But
Well,
I started to feel they weren't right for each other when he showed up that one day in the park. I was like, oh no.
we'll always have Shazam.
I was gonna say I'll take him in Shazam any day of the week. Any day of the week. And Adam Brody is in Shazam as well.
I really enjoy that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen Shazam. So somebody should host that.
I like the foster care aspect of it.
Yeah, it's a cute movie. A lot of styrofoam sets, though. I mean, it's very the production value is not like it's definitely not Marvel Cinematic Universe. But it's a very fun movie and very funny movie, and has a ton of heart in it. So I'd give it a definitely a high grade. I'm gonna actually head out, but thank you, Kendra, Nancy, for hosting our season finale of Maisel. We're back on Saturday for episode 1, season 3, which has only got 8 episodes in it. Let's see, they went back to the 8. I guess 10, they were like, yeah, no, we're not doing that anymore.
I'm so excited for season 3, episode 1, to see what happens next.
Yeah, I mean, it's great.
3
8 seems like such a little number for like how long you have to wait for these.
I
will say
watched it since the first aired, so I'm excited.
I will say that I understand for those who are like not into the series because they just can't get into the Midge character. Like, it's just like, you know, this is Midge's journey, and I just don't like her enough to really want to be in there, because I think it's hard to deny that the writing is not just really deft and interesting. I think it's just a really fascinating story, and there's great unexpected twists and turns. But I understand that, like, if you can't really like love the character whose main story it is, I get how that can be really difficult. And I would say that, especially because so many of us are Gilmore Girls fans, came from Gilmore Girls, and I actually think that there's something about the fact that she's so dismissive of her children that I can see as a sort of negative trait about Midge that might be hard for people to get over.
She's also, in some ways, and I'm just going to put this out there, in some ways, she's kind of arrogant about herself, which can
Yeah,
be
but-
very off-putting to people.
But so
You
is-
know.
but Lorelai has a lot of arrogance as well.
I
You know,
agree.
There's so many. I know, but
But they're
Lorelai.
presented in kind of different ways.
Yeah, but Lorelai is like part of why she's beloved is because despite all of that, despite all of her like own petty selfishness and whatnot, that ultimately her child is number one and is like her everything. And that's the conceit of the show. And here we have a character who we, the audience, sometimes forget she has children. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and I mean, there's something about that is definitely a little odd. And, you know, I feel like the writing or the writers have to understand that, you know, to some degree. And that's going to come to a head at some point and be really like a really, that's going to be hard for Midge. I mean, or it's going to, I mean, hard for Midge, hard for her children, but I could see, you know, a future season with older children or even a flash forward where she has just no relationship to her children. Her children just don't, you know, they don't call her, they don't care about her, and that she's regretting having like not been there for her children when they were young.
Yeah, but like with the arrogance that I was talking about, like in this episode, an example would be, here's Benjamin doing this like gesture to go and ask her dad for permission to marry her. And in the hallway, he's talking to her and he says, you better be worth this. And she says, yes, I am. Like, she knows she's worth it. She's worth all the trouble her dad's going to give this guy. And then when it comes down to making a decision that's going to affect the next year of her life, she doesn't even think about that man once, makes a decision, and it's done. So in that way, it's just very arrogant that she thinks she's so worth it, but obviously he's not worth it at all to her.
Well,
and that's really off-putting in a way.
The first line of the whole show was, "Who gives a toast at her own wedding?" I do. And so we are introduced to her as somebody who celebrates her stuff.
I mean, is Midge Maisel an anti-hero?
I get that.
Oh, yeah.
I just mean it's
her and Dexter.
Yeah, Dexter. So it's Dexter, Walter White, and Midge Maisel. The three.
And Tony Soprano.
Yeah, Tony Soprano, Walter White, Dexter Morgan, and Midge Maisel. The four most important anti-heroes of the 21st century.
That's interesting that you still see Walter White as an anti-hero after the way that show ended.
I mean, he is an anti-hero. I mean, there's no question about it.
John, Regina says that Walter White and Midge Maisel are not even in the same league.
I mean,
that's the comment from the couch.
Meaning that Midge Maisel is worse.
Oh wait,
I know it says Walter White, Midge Maisel are not even in the same league in all capital letters.
But I don't know. She has to explain what she means by that. Does she mean that Midge Maisel is even more ruthless than Walter White?
Come on, Regina, is she more ruthless? Is that a yay or a nay?
We forgot Don Draper.
Well,
Don Draper.
The problem with Midge is that she doesn't lose enough. That's the thing. I think that's what we find irritating, is that she doesn't lose as much as she should. And there are times
Lorelai did lose something.
Yeah, but what John said is really apt, though, or poignant, I should say, is that it didn't actually matter if she didn't lose enough, because Rory was like her saving grace. Like, it didn't matter, because at the end of the day, she was the greatest mom ever.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not talking about Lorelai. I'm talking about Rory. That's why a lot of people didn't like Rory.
You're totally right. And like, the fact is that
Rory also one of the greatest anti-hero. No, just kidding.
Midge should lose so much. I mean, starting out in this like really difficult career, she wins way too many times. And she also like doesn't really appreciate where she is. And like I there were quite a few scenes with Susie this season where she
sort of snaps her back to reality. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, when they're in the Catskills, like, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that, and I have to practice for, you know, like, what are you talking about? Like you have absolutely no idea how lucky you are to be like living this life, and I'm out here hustling, you know, and she just has absolutely no concept of, you know, where she is a lot of the time. And on you know, I think that is for the comedy too. Like, she should be at the bottom of the barrel. It's only been a year. She shouldn't be this good. Like, you know, like, she shouldn't keep winning. She should have some wins here and there, but I think she wins too much, and I do think that's why people don't like her.
But I think this episode showed that she's not always winning, and she realizing that she can't have it all. Like, she's realizing that if she goes on tour with Psy,
but she's asked to go on tour with a major star.
She's realizing she can't have it all. She can't have the husband and the kids, and
right. I know, but the thing is that she's realizing that she can't have it all, and she's choosing the one that is all about her.
Right.
Yes.
And that's the main difference, right? Is that, like, the idea that you can't have it all, that's universal, right? Like, everybody ultimately has to do that, right? But if Lorelai was put into the same position to sort of sacrifice all of these relationships for some big, bold personal dream, she would, I mean, without a doubt, choose the relationships over herself and her own ambitious dreams. So that's sort of the main difference.
The first thing she'd say is, what about Rory?
Regina says, Midge and Rory are more in the same league. To Walter White, Midge and Rory are chump change. Hello, box cutter, Shane Margolis. There you go.
But if you're working on the realm of self-interest, though,
I mean, I don't know, man. We really don't know what Midge Maisel could do with a box cutter if she was pushed to
or a vat of acid.
Yeah, a vat of acid.
Or
I mean,
a vial of rice.
The thing is that she is winning a lot. What happens when she starts losing? Where would she, like, how far would she go? Would she go into ricin? Would she go into acid? Would she go into box cutters? We don't know, but we definitely know that she is as ambitious as Walter White.
She'd hire Sophie Lennon's, what's his butt? The agent's goons to whack. I messed this joke up.
She would just send Susie. Susie could do the box cutter,
that's
couldn't
true.
she?
Right. Yeah, a Rockaway girl would probably know.
I will see all of you soon.